Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Wrestling Weekend Recap, where we give you the good, the bad, and the latest inside news that happened this week with Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, the Wednesday Night Wars between AEW versus AEW Dynamite, NXT versus AEW Dynamite, of course, along with that business relationship that AEW Dynamite has established. All Elite Wrestling is in conjunction now with Impact Wrestling, and just recently, it is official, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Little by little, that statement of turning the wrestling world upside down, I guess it's beyond an understatement, right? But who do we have to thank for that? Tony Khan. The forbidden door, so to speak. Well, anyway, the one and only Jade, I am Ace1X. And of course, as always, to give you our disclaimer that everything that we state and say on this program, due to the nature of it, it is strictly our opinion and it does not reflect necessarily the views of the platform that we're on or the wrestling companies that we talk about. And now, don't have a cow, man. Jade, we are just hours away from another WWE pay-per-view that'll be seen on the network, and it is the Elimination Chamber. We will definitely give you folks our take on the event, what is going to be on the card. We're going to lay our predictions, and we will state right now that we will not be doing a live reaction of this year's Elimination Chamber. The next time that we are going to do a live reaction will be during WrestleMania weekend for both nights, night 1 and 2. Of course, right after the Chamber, if we understand correctly, Fastlane should be the following WWE pay-per-view, and afterwards it will be WrestleMania. But a lot going on in the wrestling world. Within a short amount of time, we got the Chamber coming up tomorrow night. The talk of the town will definitely be Wednesday, March 3rd. NXT already got some things cooking. AEW Dynamite already has some things cooking, and it's only going to be more. Also, AEW Revolution will not that be far behind. Now that we're talking New Japan Pro Wrestling, John Moxley will be defending his IWGP United States Championship against Bullet Club member and former NXT roster member Hideo Itami, now known as Kenta. He will be that title will be defended coming up February 26th at New Japan Pro Wrestling's Road to New Beginning. Because Kenta has that briefcase, kind of like the Money in the Bank. He will cash that in finally, as he will try to defeat John Moxley for that IWGP United States Championship. So, I guess we should start with the Wednesday Night Wars that took place this week. Of course, as we reviewed the episode, we started with AEW first. AEW packed another wallop this week. A very, very exciting episode. Can't say anything less about it because the majority of the segments were definitely pleasing. There was some that, or very few actually, that were kind of mind-boggling, maybe. Or maybe I'm only thinking about one, and that's the way, and that's the angle of Sting calling out Team Taz, and it ended up the other way around. It was Team Taz calling out Sting, and Sting hasn't had a physical segment of any type of wrestling caliber since we saw last in 2015 when he had that match with Seth Rollins at Clash of Champions.
I think that was probably around that time frame.
And that was Sting's last match. Unfortunately, he suffered a very rough paralyzing factor on his back that called for Sting's retirement. And that was during his Hall of Fame induction and later on in his short stint of a WWE career. But now he last year just debuted with AEW, and AEW Revolution is not that far away. We still don't know what type of tag team street fight we're going to get, when it'll be him and TNT champion Darby Allin as they take on Team Taz members Brian Cage and Absolute Ricky Starks. But you can definitely say that this week Team Taz really set the nail on the coffin, so to speak, for Sting and Darby Allin. Darby Allin hasn't been seen since the previous week when they were dragging his carcass in a body bag as they were riding in a truck. And now Sting has definitely took a really physical power bomb bump from Brian Cage, and that was the first time since, like we mentioned, since he got into any type of physical movement or wrestling match, and that was with Seth Rollins back in WWE around the 2015 timeframe. So we're going to get into that in just a few minutes. But other exciting things that took place on Dynamite. Definitely the women's tournament. Well, we saw the matches that took place on the Japan side. They came out on Monday on the YouTube channel. We saw a very awesome match, the return of Rio, as she took on NWA's Women's World Champ Serena Deeb. That one is a classic among classics. Rio came back and gave it everything that she had, and I missed Rio. I fell in love with Rio and her work. It's just, amazing, astounding. Here, I thought at first, kind of doubting for a bit, that maybe she might have had a little ring rust. Nothing of the kind. She was stupendous as always. My hat's off to both women for putting on such one heck of a match. No, should definitely go down this year as one of the best. No doubt about that. Like I mentioned, right now we're going to get into some recap of what took place this past Wednesday. Of course, we saw a clip of Shaq and Jade Cargo getting ready for their match on March 3rd. But also at the same time, we're seeing Shaq doing a lot more TV commercials as usual. He did another General commercial. Now he's doing a Tony the Tiger Frosted Flakes commercial. It's like, okay, Shaq is pretty much, plastered everywhere. But I still say that Shaq Fu in the middle of the ring will be a colossal failure, just like that Sega Genesis video game or whatever. Still, like I said, AEW put on one heck of a show. But we're going to get in right here to what happened with Sting at the hands of Team Taz, basically Brian Cage and Absolute Ricky Starks. These guys are already in the ring. And of course, Taz never stops yakking.
That's all I'm hearing. Well, it's pretty obvious that Team Taz, well, we're down a few men right now thanks to the weather, because knowing friggin' Sting, he took his damn snow and sent it down south, but I digress. So, hey, there's basically no better time right now for you, Sting. For you. Come out here right now and call out Team Taz. There's only 3 of us, brother. Come on out. Where you at, Sting? Where's the Stinger? Sting, where are you? Look for him. You see him anywhere, Hulk? Can't you see Sting?
Is this one of those ads? You shall receive.
Yeah. It's one of those careful what you wish for type cliches that we got.
If so, it would appear that business is about to pick up.
The snow is falling in Jacksonville. The icon Sting has emerged. Sting better be very. I know he's got the bat. He needs to be very careful.
There's still 3 guys.
Yeah. He's going to go right in the ring.
This is surprising. I think I could transact my business by on that stage.
Shut the music.
Next.
You just stepped in this ring. That's the worst thing you have done, my friend. And you see, you need that bat. You need that bat. You best have that bat. Because without that bat, you're done. Your boy Darby, he got dragged onto FTW World by us. You need that bat. For years you've used that bat.
Taz didn't realize Sting never always used the bat. Obviously, he hasn't seen all of Sting's classic footage from back in the day.
Oh, you're going to be a badass. Oh, you're going to be a badass. Oh, Sting, my God.
With the coat running, change his face, and now the Stinger.
Oh, look at this hook from behind.
But the baseball
Yeah,
bat
Captain
is
Hook,
stepping up for
little
more.
punk-ass kid from
To the boot to the
of
midsection.
Taz's.
The man right back down. No.
What's going on here?
Hey, Cage.
Ugh.
Power bomb just planted Sting in the center of the ring.
My God, what an impact.
I said Sting better be very, very careful. I wouldn't have thrown the bat away, just to be honest with you, because these guys are maniacs. Did you see how effortlessly Brian Cage...
No, they're more than that. They are self-centered, they're egotistical, and they're nothing but maniacs. But look at this. You see how well Sting sold that power bomb? Look at that. It's like if he was knocked into the mall.
Circle that date on your calendar.
Sunday, March 7th on pay-per-view, AEW's Revolution.
What do you think of that? I think Sting sold that power bomb pretty well. That's the first time, like we just mentioned, that's first time we see him get physical and over a bit. He hasn't suffered much. I mean, he took a really big splat in the middle of the ring, but nonetheless, we're just setting up just the anticipation for when we get a huge buildup for the crowd to sink in once March 7th comes and AEW Revolution will be just around that corner and on a Sunday night on top of that.
Yes, indeed, and I just want to preface it by saying that yes, this is an issue that has manifested for months and all started ever since December, before this year started, and pretty much like I mentioned time and time again, this is pretty much a clash of philosophies because Taz is, of course, from the hardcore straight out philosophy, and Sting pretty much is from the traditional philosophy, and pretty much when these two when pretty much these two are colliding, and make no mistake that after what we saw last Wednesday on Dynamite, when he got powerbombed right in the center of the ring by the Machine Brian Cage, he pretty much took it, and yes, we pretty much want to count on the fact that it has been also over a week since Team Taz pretty much disposed of the TNT champion Darby Allin, but this will give them as much more incentive because comes next Wednesday, and then the Wednesday after, leading to Revolution, there is no doubt that Sting and Darby will be on the same page and finally solve their issues with Team Taz. But all I want to see is the fact that in any way, shape, or form, how can Sting get under the skin of Taz? Because pretty much it's like when these two are of different philosophies, you can pretty much say like Taz is a legend is alright, but clearly is alright by Sting, who is a Hall of Famer. His track record speaks volumes. His contributions speak volumes and paved the way for this industry. And nonetheless, when it's all settled, coming up on March 7th, Evolution in the street tag match, we'll see which team gets the upper hand.
And like how we talked about it as well, we're going to take a look at the clip of the match between Riho and Serena Deeb, the AEW, the NWA Women's World Champion. But they're in the tournament for the next challenger for the AEW Women's World Championship as well. I'm telling you, Riho came back with a mission. She came back with a mission of wanting to be back on the map, since Riho was the first ever historic AEW Women's World Champion, and she carried that championship for a very good period of time until she was defeated, unfortunately, by Nyla Rose.
Is that the winner of this matchup will face Thunder Rosa in the semifinal round. That is a tough draw for either competitor. Talking about a hard-hitting tournament. I mean, what we saw on the Japan side that you commentated on, Excalibur, what we've seen here with Thunder Rosa, we got Britt Baker and Anna Jay still to come on our YouTube channel. Also, Nyla Rose and Ty Conti. Wow, man. A rematch from Ty Conti's Dynamite debut. Serena! Boy, that was a little naive of Rhea to think that she's going to get a free pass back in.
No, splat right there. We see how Serena got physical there with some of those submission moves, trying to get Riho into a spot where she can freak out and get her desperate and maybe hopefully try to tap out and have this match finished. But Riho came back with spot after spot for one form or another for her to actually vindicate herself as a winner. Look at that. Look at that coup de grace move on the sternum of Serena Deeb. And only got a 2 count, surprisingly enough. And you can tell that the crowd that night, they were happy to see Riho back, and they were pretty much chanting for Riho to win the match. Look how quick Riho became, and look at that. Oh. Right here. Look at that pin. I mean, look at that pin. That was amazing.
Dynamite for that woman, the former AEW Women's World Champion and potentially the next AEW Women's World Champion, Riho. I gotta tell you, here's some near falls and great technical wrestling by two wonderfully skilled athletes here at AEW. I know the male athletes are going to be on the show later on. We're watching. Gentlemen, you got some work to do. You're not kidding. Riho, as we take a look at the updated bracket, she will face Thunder Rosa in the semifinal round on the American side of.
Okay, now while we freeze this tournament bracket, of course, the matches that took place this past Monday on the YouTube channel, Yuka Sakazaki defeated Mei Suruga, and I mean I can go down the bracket, but I had a feeling that every one of these women, these Japanese female wrestlers that already had exposure in AEW, I had the feeling that they were going to be the ones that would succeed in this tournament. Like, for example, I just mentioned Yuka Sakazaki. She defeated Mei Suruga. Emi Sakura defeated Veni. Ryo Mizunami defeated Maki Ito. Maki Ito, she's a cute little thing, but I think she needed to be a little less naive and should have focused more on the wrestling part, because we know that her beauty, her she looks like a freaking high schooler. I mean, cute, but we know that her beauty was a given, but she needed to be a little bit more focused on the wrestling part, and that's what she failed to do so, and that's how Ryo Mizunami got the upper hand. And then finally, Aja Kong, she defeated Rin Karakura. So now we have, which I believe will take place not this upcoming week, but the following week after that, we'll see Yuka Sakazaki take on Emi Sakura in one match, which will be the semifinal match. That's the first one. The second semifinal match on the Japanese side, Ryo Mizunami will take on Aja Kong. Now, on the American side, we're going to see Thunder Rosa go against Ryo. Now, that one, that's where I'm coming kind of in the middle, because, you know, I love Thunder Rosa and everything that she's been doing lately. That's my girl. But also, I love Riho and everything that she has been doing, and now that she's making a triumphant comeback, I'm pretty sure that she's going to lay everything on the line, and it's tough for me to choose who's going to advance here for the semifinal. So that was going to be a deal of a pickle to make a decision on, but I want to watch with a very keen eye who's really got the upper hand out of these two women, because they're both just so great, so talented. While we still have the first round going on, Ty Conti, she's going to take on Nyla Rose. Dr. Britt Baker will go against Anna Jay from Dark Order. So those are two matches that are going to take place next week that we should definitely have our eyeballs on, just to see who is definitely going to progress in this Eliminator tournament as far as the Women's World Championship is concerned, because at the end of all of this, the winner of this whole tournament will get a shot at the AEW Women's World Championship and the champion who's holding the belt,
Hikaru Shida.
Hikaru Shida, yes. And that's going to happen March 7th at AEW's Revolution. That is going to be one heck of a match. Whoever the number one contender is, and Hikaru Shida, I'm pretty sure she's going to be prepared for whoever this opponent will be. Of course, in short recap, we see FTR kind of redeem themselves this past week. Actually, no. FTR kind of fell flat on their faces when Jungle Express, Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, pretty much he was the one getting the upper hand, because freaking Dax kind of played dirty with Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy, he's on the rise as far as Jurassic Express is concerned, and we're seeing that each and every single time. Luchasaurus just barely redeemed himself. Marco Stunt, he's still around. Also, Orange Cassidy, he had a very good match with Lucius, who I want to call Lucius.
Yeah, Luther.
Luther,
Yeah,
yeah.
Luther.
Yeah, but I don't know. He feels more like Lucius than Luther. As part of Chaos Project, they had a very good match, and we knew that Cassidy was going to take it. And that seemed kind of like a short match to me, or even I'm confusing it with Dark, because even on Dark this week, we were seeing a lot of very short matches, very quick matches, just to get through the hour, so to speak. But Cassidy had the upper hand in that one. Of course, I believe they had a tag team match, Matt Hardy and Adam Page.
Yes.
But the very end of that match, Matt Hardy here, he thought that he had the upper hand with that contract that Matt Hardy signed the previous week, and it turns out that that's not the case. So at Revolution is going to be Adam Page going against Matt Hardy for a big bucket of dough. I guess what, like $10,000 or something like that.
Pretty much that's what's
So
stipulated.
Adam's money against big money Matt's money, and whoever wins obviously is going to be a very rich man at Revolution. Cody and Brandy Rhodes came out to reveal what their baby's going to be, coming up in numerous months. Now, I don't know how or what the heck that I said, but since I was on a roll with guessing what was Becky Lynch's baby going to be, and I predicted that it was going to be a girl, now I finally remember I said that their child was going to be a boy.
Right.
And damn it, I was wrong. They came out and they said that it was going to be a girl. So I need to shoot myself in the foot for that, but unfortunately I don't have a gun. So Cody, Brandy, congratulations to end this week. They came out on Wednesday and they stated that it's going to be a baby girl. Cody, Brandy, congratulations from the Ace Monon Brigade team and Wrestling Weekend recap here for such awesome blessing and spiritual news about the child that's coming on the way. And of course, we're going to close this AEW part with everything that's going on with Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is a cynical son of a bitch. How in the hell are you going to make a freaking promo with kids, man? You're trying to paste yourself out there like if you're some freaking hero. When Kenny Omega is just an evil, cynical bastard. I swear, man. That whole freaking promo was pointless as a fan, but as a viewer and a spectator, I think it was genius the way that because I don't even recall seeing having for Kenny Omega to have fans as pretty much kids or freaking first graders or whatever, kindergartners, whatever. But I just find it very cynically having to be there and wanting to be a role model and read to kids, and then at the end, he walks away like nothing, like if he did a good deed for the day, like if he was redeeming his soul for something evil that he has done. He's just a hypocritical son of a bitch. And then to pay it all off, Michael Nakazawa, nobody likes Michael Nakazawa, so all the kids beat him up at the end, and freaking Kenny Omega's walking away pleased. Like, what the hell, man? Like, seriously, dude? So, of course, speaking of Kenny Omega, we're going to get into that segment where they had that, I believe they had a 6-man match. And it was Moxley, Phoenix, and Archer. And they were taking on Butcher, Blade, and Eddie Kingston. And all these 6 guys, they were just absolutely phenomenal, man. Different moves, different sequences, back and forth. I mean, their action was nonstop until right here. They kind of paused it for a bit, and Lance Archer chokeslammed Phoenix into Butcher and Blade on the outside. But then to top it all off, look at Lance Archer. Cannonball from the edge of that apron. Lance Archer, I mean, this big guy just doesn't stop surprising me, man. He just has it in him all the way to just wow the crowd, you know, for a big guy. And then, of course, Eddie Kingston and Moxley, man, this is the second time that we're seeing them in a ring, but in a six-man tag, and they still get physical with each other, man. That is a story that I will never stop being interested in because, you know, these guys have a history. These guys can get at each other almost any time that they want, but in order to not tire out the fans, they just want to have a match a little bit, let a little time pass, and then all of a sudden renew the feud, and then, you know, bring them back in and lure them in, you know, for some enticing story or a match, and that's how you keep people like that interested, you know. I mean, look how physical they got right here, you know. Try to decapitate Kingston, and then all of a sudden that spiked DDT or the what was this finisher called?
Paradigm shift.
The paradigm shift. And Moxley's on a roll, man. I'm pretty sure, you know, he's walking away with such momentum shift that by the time he gets to Road to New Beginning in Japan, when he defends his IWGP Championship against Kenta, you know, he's going to be in it to win it, and he said he's going to destroy Kenta for sure. Hopefully that's the case. And, of course, Good Brothers here beating the hell out of Moxley, and here comes Kenny with his freaking big mouth trying to be a hero. And look at Don Jackass Callis over there. Freaking jack of all trades.
You know, I promised myself I wouldn't come out here, but you know what? I'm making a bit of an exception. You know what this is? This is my late Valentine's Day gift from your boss, Tony Khan. I know you know what this is.
And he did mention on Impact that he had a gift, that Tony Khan had a gift for Kenny Omega, and this is it.
And you know what? I'm in a giving mood. I'm a man that gives to each and every one of my fans. Thank you so much. So yes.
Wait a minute. That reminds me. I gotta rewind.
Hey, John, wow. Don't look so tough right now, do you? If it's not a junkyard, it was at the Boweries. You're looking kind of pathetic. You know, I promised myself I wouldn't come out here, but you know what? I'm making a bit of an exception. You know what this is? This is my late Valentine's Day gift from your boss, Tony Khan. I know you know what this is. This is a contract which you slipped in a rematch clause in. I'm not too surprised. And you know what? I'm in a giving mood. I'm a man that gives to each and every one of my fans. Thank you so much. So yes, you can have your rematch, Jon Moxley. You can have your rematch. I'll even give it to you at Revolution. But the problem is, I'm the one that's going to name the match. If we beat you up, you just keep coming back. If I beat you in a straight-up wrestling match, you get jealous and you keep coming back. You're talking about putting people on the ground, breaking their neck. Is that what I'm going to have to do, John? Is that what I'm going to have to do? Well, if I'm going to have to put you in the ground, how about this, John? How about you and I in an exploding barbed wire death match?
God, what
You talk about having the loaded gun?
What?
I'm the one holding the gun, John.
Yeah, what?
And your
Exploding?
time on this earth is limited.
Oh, exploding barbed wire match!
Hold him down! Get him down!
A death match! Oh, trigger! What about this Excalibur exploding barbed wire death?
No! That was
Those boots that Omega are wearing look like weapons. That's reminiscent of,
Are you surprised?
the type of match that would happen at Kawasaki Stadium in FMW.
Look who needs to be shown the belt! Yeah, you did this! You did this, John! But you're never gonna get that! You're never gonna get that! It's only gonna get worse! Now with the music! Now with the music!
And it's God, loaded brace barbed wire death match for the AEW World Championship. I've never witnessed one in my life. I can't watch.
An exploding barbed wire match. Did I heard that correctly?
I heard it.
It's like revisiting a match that Mick Foley had with Sabu back in FMW in Japan. I mean, I never seen those matches. I only seen clips from when they showed them in yesteryears, especially like back then when Mick Foley had a rivalry with Randy Orton at Backlash, and it was going to be, I think it was going to be a hardcore match. So they in that video package they showed how hardcore can Mick Foley really get, because let's not forget that he almost he lost an ear, portion of his ear. Kind of gruesome just thinking about it, but and we knew Jon Moxley before he was Dean Ambrose, where he was in CZW, having those type of matches, having those type of crazy hardcore matches, and Moxley just never gave a and he went at it like nothing, He would do just about anything in order to get noticed in the business, and that obviously all of that was behind him, but now how he's reintegrating himself with the name of Jon Moxley once again after leaving WWE. Now he's kind of bringing it back, but not all the way, because obviously he got older, he got smarter. Now he's going to be a father now very soon, so he has to think, now he's got to think smart, not putting his life on the line like that so much. I mean, I know he'll do it regardless, but he really doesn't have to prove himself to the fans like that, because us, the fans, and I'm always, we've been for Jon Moxley ever since last year's Revolution, when we finally saw that he became the AEW World Champion, and that was the greatest match that I've ever witnessed live at an AEW event, especially when Revolution came into town at the Wintrust Arena. So, I mean, that was my favorite match, seeing him and Chris Jericho, because we knew that Moxley's opportunity was coming. It finally happened. He became a champion, and oh my God, Chicago was lit once he got his hand on the title and he raised it up and said, "Yeah, I'm champion." So now this year he's gonna defend that AEW title against Kenny Omega in such a brutal, barbaric match that I can't even begin to fathom what the heck are we gonna see, and we are gonna watch Revolution on Sling, because this is gonna tell me that this is one fight that we just can't miss in seeing. I mean, Jay, there's got to be some thoughts crossing your mind on how this fight can really be gruesome, but will go down in history as one of the gruesomest matches that AEW will ever have in its, in the beginning of its ride, of its entity, so to speak.
The thing with Jon Moxley is that pretty much, well, I'm gonna say this right now. I mean, when he thought that he was gonna get something better in the WWE, it could was good that way. It was going that way. He held accolades, but instead of finding what he wanted, all he saw was roadblocks. And so therefore, I just want to say that right now, no matter how hard you try to put a roadblock in Jon Moxley's path, it's not even gonna work. So therefore, I just want to say that what will be the fate next Friday when he faces Kenta for the New Japan US title at New Beginnings, and to see if he still has any strength left to once again possibly regain the AEW title from Kenny Omega. But nonetheless, when it comes to Jon Moxley, the word roadblock is not in his vocabulary. He'll do anything it takes to, any way, shape, or form, to be the top name in the pro wrestling industry.
Yeah, that is for sure. I know both men, they will go leaps and bounds to put on one hell of a presentation that is in Kenny's repertoire, that is in Jon Moxley's repertoire. These men will not be held back. They will show no remorse. They will show no fear. They will go at it full bore, and there ain't gonna be no regrets afterwards. It's pretty much one of those situations. It's what's done is done. We can look back and see how much damage we did, and just for the fans to go, wow, that was a freaking awesome match that we just seen, that we can always remember for what it was worth. Now we're gonna talk about NXT. Vengeance Day happened this past Sunday. It was an incredible pay-per-view from beginning to end, man. I mean, it was just awesome. We got to see some historic beginnings as far as the end of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic tournaments are concerned. For the first time ever on the women's division, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, congratulations. They are the first team in the women's division to have won the trophy for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Tournament. MSK, congratulations to you guys for winning the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Tournament on the men's side. And Jade, within a matter of a short time, ever since the debut, within a 3-4 week span, MSK has kicked ass like never before. It led to this point. Now the reward for both of them is that for Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, they get an opportunity at the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, and held by their champions Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. For MSK, they get a shot at the NXT Tag Team titles. So the question is now, when are they going to get their opportunity at those belts? We will have to stay tuned for that. Also, Johnny Gargano surprisingly defended his North American Championship against, my opinion, one of the best Japanese wrestlers that came along in NXT and still has some great, awesome matches, and that is Kushida. Because here I thought that Austin Theory was going to stick his fork and tongue and hands into this match. But if it wasn't for Dexter Lumis, we would have never known what the outcome of that match was going to be. And I'm glad that that element was gone. Same thing with the rest of the way. But Johnny Gargano, straight up, he defended his title like how a champion should. What else? The triple threat NXT women's match. Io Shirai defended successfully like the warrior and the champion that she is against Mercedes Martinez and Toni Storm. But credit to all three women. My God, they just knew how to keep the fans interested in whatever these women do for moves, spots, and everything as a whole for that match. It was just awesome. Just simply awesome. But the one match that takes the cake, and that was the main event, Finn Balor and the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne. My God. The most physical match that I have seen so far in 2021. These guys took it to the limit. I was already wondering if this was going to be it for Finn Balor because he took absolutely so much from the Bruiserweight, but there was no freaking ounce of quit in that guy. That's why I love that guy. As much as Pete Dunne really wanted to get a chance at that championship, I really wanted to see him one day get it, but not at the expense of the Prince. And the Prince defended his ground with everything in his being, and he is still the NXT champion. Now, the aftermath of that match, of course, that led to the tag team champions, Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, to come out and beat the hell out of a spent champion, and Pete Dunne getting some shots in. And that brought the Undisputed Era guys, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. But the system ended up shocking us. Adam Cole kicked the NXT champion down, but not only that, he kicked one of his guys down. He kicked one of his brothers down. He kicked down Kyle O'Reilly. What the was that all about? Obviously, it was jealousy. Obviously, the man couldn't hold it anymore. He wants his championship back. It is most obvious. Because even this past Wednesday night, we saw more of the same from Adam Cole. But now his true intentions were revealed as he held that NXT title up high to end the NXT episode this past Wednesday, man. I got to tell you, Adam Cole, he don't care. He's on very thin ice, but his objectives are very clear. He wants to be NXT champion again. Nonetheless, Vengeance Day was an awesome event. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. Now, of course, that led to the opening of NXT. Kyle O'Reilly, even I knew from our episode last Saturday that he wanted answers. He demands those answers, and he wasn't going to leave until he got some sort of answer from his supposed brother, Adam Cole. We're going to listen in to see what he's got to say.
I don't need you to explain it. I need him to explain it. So you coming out here on this peacekeeping mission, it's wasting everyone's time. So stop it.
Obviously, Roderick Strong was there to keep the Era group together. But obviously, there's a misunderstanding, a miscommunication from O'Reilly and Cole.
Roddy, don't get in this ring. I'm telling you. Don't do it, Roddy. And it's not that I don't trust you, Roddy. It's that, you know what? It is that I don't trust you. I don't know who to trust. I barely trust myself right now. So I'm going to say it one more time, Roddy. I'm going to say it one more time. Roddy, I don't need to hear from you. I need Adam Cole to get his ass out here right now. I'll say it again. Adam Cole, get your ass out here. You want to talk to Adam? Well, get in line behind me.
He wants answers too.
Because as far as I'm concerned, me and you, we have a little business we need to address.
Ooh.
You see, on Sunday, you offered me your hand. And I knew I shouldn't have accepted it. But I did. And we all saw what happened. So you want to come out here and talk about trust? Hey! You don't run your mouth. You had nothing to do with that. Well, he had nothing to do with it. Did you have something? Obviously, I didn't have anything to do with it. Tag team champions and Pete Dunne. The Capital Wrestling Center, it just filled with chaos. True to time, it's a snake attack once again. What a straight up ambush! Working Donnie Burch! And Dunne again returns a champion. Unfinished business with Balor.
Obviously, the first segment ended up with a lot of melee, still unanswered questions, total chaos, and that's how the show started. But we knew that the main event obviously was going to be something a whole lot different, and what that was going to lead to was a 6-man tag that the GM of NXT, William Regal, has set up, where Pete Dunne, the tag team champions, Lorcan and Birch, they were going to face Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and the NXT champion, Finn Balor. But here's a tidbit right here. The one guy that is missing from that other side, who associated himself with Pete Dunne and the tag team champions, was Pat McAfee. And he had predicted, supposedly, that this was going to happen amongst the Undisputed Era. And that's a part that you missed. You better listen in, because I think it's just a lot of bullcrap.
Internet wrestling community. It's your favorite wrestler of all time, Pat. Now, obviously, I am on my bird, traveling to warmer lands, and you all are realizing what I've known all along. You were bamboozled, hoodwinked, tricked into believing that your savior, the man who was coming after me as the guy who was going to protect the wrestling community. Well, it turns out he was a scumbag all along, just like I said. In internet wrestling community, I understand you're way too dumb to have realized that yourself. That's why you have me to tell you things you don't know. I will accept all apologies. Go ahead and tweet me. Hashtag Pat was right. Your hero has been and will continue to be an absolute bum. I will continue to be the greatest thing to ever happen to wrestling. Now, I have to go to a beach, some Mai Tais, take care, get some sun, while you bums sit at home. I'll see you around. Hashtag Pat was right.
Question mark. It should be hashtag Pat was right. Question mark. He knew all along, I guess, what an egomaniac Adam Cole would turn out to be one day, because even though at the time it was all about Undisputed Era, but there was going to come a time where Adam Cole would be all about Adam Cole, and that's happening right now. So I guess Pat McAfee always knew that one day it was going to spark out this way, and it ended up happening now. So was that a little fact of I told you so?
Tough to disagree. Well. Let me just say this. Last Sunday, I was as appalled as everybody, but it then hit me, and I just want to stay for the record. I mean, Pat McAfee, you know, for all of his time in the NFL, and for all of and because of the fact that he has a successful podcast show, I just want to say he doesn't know anything about this business. I mean, he could just say, "Oh yeah, he dislikes Adam Cole." Oh yeah, though they had a squabble in his studio, but that just goes to show one thing. And here's the thing: if Pat McAfee ever intends to get back in the ring with Adam Cole one-on-one, probably one-on-one, let me say this to you, Mr. McAfee: number one with a bullet, and here's why. Like I mentioned, like we mentioned years before, like you mentioned the so-called proverbial forbidden door, Mr. Tony Khan, and here's a little tidbit. We're talking about Finn Balor. We're talking about Adam Cole. Coincidentally, one member of the Bullet Club and the founder of the Bullet Club. And the issue is that unlike Finn Balor, Adam Cole is the only Bullet Club member never to set foot in Japan, where it meant something, where the essence of the Bullet Club is. Could this also be a reason why this I will say this envy, this jealousy of sorts? Because yes, Finn Balor is right now the man of NXT, just like he ruled the Bullet Club since its inception, and pretty much ever since the Bullet Club created, pretty much so far out of all the members that were in the Bullet Club, Adam Cole was the only member never to set foot in Japan. Could this be a reason? Could Adam Cole say, "I have a beef with you, Finn, because the spotlight was all about you. The whole Bullet Club revolved around you. But since this is the States and the United States is my territory, and therefore I'm not gonna let you eclipse me like you eclipsed me like you eclipsed me years ago." But all I can say right now, this is just I'm just being hypothetical here. But once little by little it starts developing, and we'll see if this issue between Finn Balor and Adam Cole, aside from the NXT title, could be a little bit of Bullet Club history.
Well, it's a great analyzation of something that hasn't been tapped before, but it kind of makes you think, what if all those paths can lead down to one simple road like that? But yeah, kind of makes you think for sure. As we move on, also what happened in NXT, Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon had a match against Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. If I remember correctly, Austin Theory actually came out in that match or during that match because, of course, this past Sunday, Austin Theory was pretty much set with ether at the hands of one Dexter Lumis. So that had the way kind of freaked out because, Johnny Gargano, of course, he was on commentary, but the previous numerous nights, Austin Theory was nowhere to be found, and Johnny Gargano had to fend for himself in order to keep the North American Championship on the Bandcamp of the way. So, like I said, he did it straight up, and of course, he's still the North American champion. And right here in this tag match, obviously this is going to be far from over between Blackheart and Moon with LeRae and Hartwell. There's going to be a lot more fights. There's going to be a lot more to come from what happened this past Wednesday.
Tied up, and Indy Hartwell doing a nice job of doing anything she can to keep Moon away from Blackheart. Keep her as far away from that corner as possible. As another tag was made, LeRae, I believe, is legal. What's on Candice's mind? Boom! All the way to the floor.
They've got everything that they deserved along the way. They're not too good to date another bag of tricks.
Oh, that was abducted.
Right now, they have to focus at Big LeRae and Hartwell on the match at hand. Shotzi Blackheart taking out Hartwell. Blackheart dropping face first. LeRae turns right around, up and down. Ember Moon into the cover. Innovative offense by Moon, and LeRae somehow kicks out. I mean, Betty, you got to give credit where credit is due to LeRae and Hartwell, at least for this match.
Oh, I'm generous of you both.
I mean, LeRae is the wily veteran in the situation. She still has that resilience, of course, but Blackheart looking to up the ante with Moon.
Moon looking across Blackheart, just wiped out, as was Moon, by LeRae and Hartwell.
Going for that eclipse, apparently. Just a beat off there. Looks like LeRae and Indy Hartwell are capitalizing it back to winning ways.
Hartwell now hoisting up, and now.
I forgot the mysterious white band was out in the middle of this whole match. So Johnny Gargano went to see what the heck was that mystery band was all about. And because of that distraction, Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon won the match. But I don't think it mattered to them because they finally got they finally got Austin Theory back, pretty much back with the way. That's all they care about. They don't care about a loss between Blackheart and Ember Moon. They just wanted Austin Theory back. They finally got him back, and that was that. So he was in that van the entire time. And I'm pretty sure Dexter Lumis was the one driving it back. Hopefully there wasn't no repercussions or he didn't get raped or anything like that, God forbid.
Yeah, that was the thing though, because seeing from last Sunday, seeing Dexter Lumis pretty much gag Austin Theory with a blanket full of ether, it says like he's trying to say something. And well, from what we saw last Sunday, when Johnny Gargano defended and retained the NXT title against Kushida, and after what we saw, last Wednesday, could Dexter Loomis be possibly saying, Johnny, you and me in the future for that NXT North American title?
That would be a very good question. And speaking of the North American Championship, of course, there was a promo backstage with Kushida, and Bronson Reed stepped up and said, you already had your shots at that championship, but I think it's my turn to get a shot at it. So he wanted to acknowledge that to Kushida, face to face, and let him know where he stands. Obviously, the Carney, Cameron Grimes, he's got another, big money gimmick that he's going to unleash pretty soon. Santos Escobar was passed on a warning by Karrion Kross, letting him know that his time is running out. TikTok. Zoe Stark finally debuted on NXT, and she took on a jobber named Valentina Feroz, and Zoe Stark was successful in her match. Kushida, before that backstage promo, he had a match with Tyler Rust, and it was Malcolm Bivens who was kind of very, very being a little bit too pushy to get Kushida in a match, or to get his guy Tyler Rust in a match with Kushida, and Kushida was successful. So hats off again to Tyler Rust for trying really, really, really hard. But it looks like Tyler Rust, once he was trapped in the submission by Kushida, it looked like he was going to pass out, maybe about to be injured, that Malcolm Bivens was so freaked out that if he had a towel, I'm pretty sure he would have thrown in the towel. But since there was no towels to be thrown in, he told the referee, just stop the match. And that had his guy live to fight another week, so to speak. We also witnessed Isaiah Swerve Scott go against Leon Ruff, but miraculously Leon Ruff once again made it through and suckered the Swerve to make him out-swerve himself at the hands of Leon Ruff, but unfortunately he paid the price because Swerve snapped on the former NXT North American champion. Of course, Casey Catanzaro, she still want to, trying to get her friend Xylee to snap out of it, since now she's in this, this killer mode, this Molina Mortal Kombat killer mode type of thing, because, Xylee, now she's very effective as a Molina self type of thing, when back then before this change, she was a Katana former, Mortal Kombat self, martial artist type of thing.
The only thing I have to say there is good luck.
Yeah, because now, since Casey Catanzaro is so persistent, now the only thing that she's going to get a one-on-one with Xylee next week. And that would be curtains for one Casey Catanzaro, I'll tell you that. But we are going to go into the moneymaker of sorts. As we talked about it in the beginning, the WWE Hall of Famer, Beth Phoenix, came into the ring and presented the winners of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics with their respective trophies. And while respectively and, with all due respect and, and overwhelmingly deserved, Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, of course, they were talking about their win and when they think that they would be able to cash in their chit to get a shot at the women's tag team belts. To our surprise, the champions were in the house that night, and they let their intentions known on what could happen to them if they're persistent about getting that shot, or when they feel that they would be ready to get that shot, what they're going to be put up against at the hands of the women's tag team champions.
Same old Dakota Kai, crying and whining, scared, just like when I broke your arm. great person I was. But if you want to find out firsthand, I will happily kick your head off.
Look at them in the corner. Like, oh damn, this is one hell of a show we're witnessing in front of our eyes.
A lot has changed since you left, Shayna. You don't run this place anymore, Chiquita. We do.
Chiquita Banana.
And in 2 weeks, when we face the two of you for those women's tag team championships, we're going to make sure you know that.
Ladies, let's all just take it down a notch. Just like simmer down. It's real spicy in here. I came here to honor the great Dusty Rhodes. I had the pleasure of working with Dusty while I was here in NXT. And when I close my eyes, I'll never forget him telling me, baby, you are one big, beautiful, badass.
You know how to imitate his voice really well.
I am the biggest, baddest. And Shayna and I are the most dominant force in all of WWE.
That's right. Naya?
Right.
Dusty Rhodes, God rest his soul. He never met me.
Munching on popcorn. Like if it was a freaking dollar flick.
Either way, in 2 weeks, March 3rd, we're going to come here on your home turf to humiliate you.
Yeah, and I don't think the number one contenders were done.
Hey, Naya! Cuidado, hermosa. Be careful with what you say. Because I'm going to take that boot and shove it so far up your hole, you'll never get it out.
Hey. Hey, it became a. She's still the trending topic, you know. She's still the trending topic. I think it kind of died down at on SmackDown this past Friday, but since it was still relevant, they had to. They just had to slide it in there, you know. But yeah, so it's just a matter of time when we will see when Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez get their shot at the women's tag titles and Shayna Baszler with Nia Jax. We will see when the heck that's going to happen. And then finally to talk about it. Well, no, not finally. So on Sunday, we got to see the former Impact Wrestling superstar, but lastly, he was on NWA Power. He was formerly known as
Eli Drake.
Eli Drake. And he was a very, very good, awesome wrestler. Now coming into NXT, known as L.A. Knight. So he came in. He laid an impact, of course. Boom Crew was there to witness that he officially signed the contract with WWE and NXT, first of all. Then he laid his intentions known during the kickoff show with whoever the North American Champion was and whoever the NXT champion would be, that LA Knight is going to be on the scope and that he's going to be watching very closely. And that's when maybe LA Knight would strike. So let's go into his 2-minute promo really quick and just hear what the former Eli Drake, now LA Knight, would state on what his intentions would be now that he will be debuting very soon in NXT.
Right here, it's NXT, it's LA, it's LA Knight. Yeah, and what that means is right here. They talk about NXT. They talk about NXT being the premier, the greatest talent running around the world is right here in NXT, right? So what that means is every single one of you back there, you talk about the North American title, you talk about the NXT title. Anybody walking around with those titles right now, make sure you got your eyes open because I'm coming for you.
Well, the hottest free agent in wrestling, LA Knight, had a message to the NXT universe.
The hell do you want? Actually, you know what? Let me talk to you. Because it was just a few days ago, NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day. I put NXT on its ear. With the advent of LA Knight walking in the door, already people around the world are saying, oh, wow, LA Knight might already be the greatest NXT superstar of all time. So it's no surprise that you're here knocking my door. If you come around knocking my door unexpected again, I'm going to do some knocking myself. I'm knocking your head off. Let me put it to you like this. Everybody who comes in always says, oh, it's the hottest free agent. But if their name ain't LA Knight, then somebody told them the wrong story. Because now the truly hottest free agent is off the market, about to claim my perch. Stop. Nobody NXT at this point belongs to me. You're not going to stop me. Not because you're not good enough, but because I won't let you. That's not an insult. That is just a fact of life. Oh, what game is it? It's LA Knight's game. Get out.
Shades of the classic Eli Drake now in the form of LA Knight. Do you think, Jay, that Eli Drake, now known as LA Knight, will become successful in NXT?
Well, hopefully it does, because the first time I saw Eli Drake on Impact, like around 2-3 years ago, because I had him pegged as someone who was very brash and cocky. However, every night he goes out to the ring willing to give a show to the fans. I mean, yeah, he's brash and cocky, and he backs it up, and that's what I mean. The man now known as LA Knight, Eli Drake, goes out there because that's what he does. I mean, he likes to go out there and give a show to the fans. He likes to go out there and wrestle. He wants to give the fans something worthwhile. And pretty much from Impact to NWA, and he pretty much started. And hopefully now that he is now part of the NXT roster, they give him a chance, because like when I saw in Eli Drake, LA Knight, is potential, and that potential has to be nourished. And hopefully, within a matter of time, once LA Knight starts performing in front of the NXT universe, little by little, that potential finally takes fruition.
I really was on board with Eli Drake when he came into NWA Power. There was something about his charisma. There was just something about that guy on the mic that is like, man, like he just sounds so cool. And I don't want him to stop talking because, pretty much everything that he says, he backs it up. And, he delivers. He just delivers, man, like really well. And in that ring, man, he is something else. I'll tell you that. So hopefully we get those elements as LA Knight on an NXT show whenever he's in a match. Just look forward to some of those classic elements into this new facade, I guess, known as LA Knight, that I really hope for him to be successful in NXT for sure. Now we're going to talk about the 6-man tag main event that took place, and of course the shocker once again of what took place, the aftermath of that match. And we're seeing once again Finn Balor and Pete Dunne getting physical one more time with each other, now in a 6-man tag. These guys were just going all over the place, in and out of the ring. They're just, they were getting physical with one another, man. This match couldn't have been put way better as a main event match this week, for this past Wednesday. And it looked like Balor and Dunne barely had any time to heal. It was going to be just a matter of days before they actually got back in the ring to face one another. See, they just jumped to Kyle O'Reilly here. Now, while we're on the subject of Kyle O'Reilly, he has been a guy who supposedly, because of that brain buster, supposedly he suffered a serious injury. And it turns out that that's all part of a work, that that's not even the case. That the pro wrestler knew what he was doing. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that once we're done seeing this whole recap thing here.
Roderick Strong can't speak highly. Can't do it. What a victory tonight, though, as Finn Balor looks on.
My goodness. My goodness, what a finish. Even though right here they didn't show when he took the belt, raised it up in his hand, and he's declaring to everyone that that is his main focus, main objective of what he wants at this point, and that's to get that championship back. What do you think?
I mean, if things couldn't get more intense. I mean, the way how that 6-man tag went. I mean, and yes, looks when we thought Cole could not do his worst last Wednesday. He did it when he slammed Kyle O'Reilly right on his neck on those stairs, and then at the end when Finn Balor was struggling and trying to regain his bearings, all of a sudden he ended up kicking a teammate and Roderick Strong, and therefore it was how Pete Dunne, Only Lorcan, and Danny Burch won the match. But it's clearly obvious from what we saw and from what the video package is from the video package that we saw from Pat McAfee. It's pretty much not Pete Dunne's intention, but McAfee's intention to ensure Adam Cole does not in any way, shape, or form come near the NXT title. But like I mentioned minutes ago, if Pat McAfee intends to be a roadblock in Adam Cole's path and trying to regain the NXT championship, he's sadly gonna regret it, because the history between Pat McAfee and Adam Cole is beyond the spite, beyond the loathing and everything, and pretty much McAfee should just do himself a favor and just stay where he is. If he ever goes back to the NXT world, he's obviously gonna come home probably with a broken leg or broken arm, whatever. I'm just saying.
Well, right now it's too early to talk about Pat McAfee and when he might return to an NXT ring, even though we've seen him in a promo stating that, I told you so, that Adam Cole was going to be the guy that would backstab one of his guys in the back and offer the championship. That's one side of it. But the focal point right now is that Adam Cole, Finn Balor, and his former brother, Kyle O'Reilly. Now we know for sure Undisputed Era is no more. We know now that that Undisputed Era, it's now history. That the Undisputed Era is now history. No other than these other preceding eras here in World Wrestling Entertainment. And I'm not going to get into the rest. But yeah, so now we're going to see how all of this builds up as, the weeks come and go. and where is all of this going to go, and when Adam Cole is going to get his shot at the NXT title. So now this concludes the talk of the Wednesday Night Wars. We're going to jump into everything that is Elimination Chamber, the final card, and our predictions. But before that, we're going to run down the card of what's going to happen this upcoming Wednesday. First with NXT, because there's not a lot of matches shown on the card yet. The only matches that we know so far that are going to take place is Xia Li will go one-on-one with Casey Catanzaro. Santos Escobar now will unfortunately have to get in the ring with Karrion Kross. Whether that match got ixnayed from Vengeance Day, we don't know, but Santos Escobar can't keep running away from Karrion Kross anymore. He's got to take it like a man and probably get buried, whatever. But those are the only two matches that we know that will take place on NXT so far. On the other side, Dynamite is loaded with matches, obviously. We're going to see Adam Page go one-on-one with Isaiah Cassidy from Private Party. During the semifinals in the Women's Eliminator Tournament, Anna Jay of the Dark Order will go one-on-one with Dr. Britt Baker. And Anna Jay's best friend, Ty Conti, will take on the Beast? The Native Beast. Yes, thank you. The Native Beast, Nyla Rose. Also, we're going to see a tag team match between the Absolute, Ricky Starks, and Brian Cage of Team Taz. They will take on the Varsity Blues.
Blondes.
No. Well, once Cage and Starks be done with them, they're going to be in their blues.
Oh, well.
So,
in that case, it's different.
Nonetheless, Team Taz, Starks and Cage, they are going to take on the Varsity Blondes. Jake Hager will go one-on-one with Brandon Cutler. Also, for the qualifying, to qualify for the ladder match that they've announced for Revolution, the six-way ladder match, Lance Archer will go one-on-one with Rey Fenix. So far we already know that Cody, the American Nightmare, we know that Pentagon Jr., Pentagon Cero, Pentagon El Cero Miedo, whatever you want to call him, pretty much the badass, in my view. And Scorpio Sky those first three have been named for that ladder match. So now I guess for the next three spots, we're going to see qualifying matches. So the first one we're going to see next week will be Lance Archer going against Rey Fenix. And that ladder match will take place at Revolution. The winner of that match will get a title opportunity at the AEW World Championship. Also, we're going to see the... What do you call that match again? That crazy... what do you call it? That hardcore match that Kenny and John Moxley are going to be involved in.
Oh, the barbed wire massacre. I think it's what it's called.
Barbed wire massacre. Well, whatever the heck it's called, we still got to sink it in before Revolution. But anyway, that exploding hardcore match of blood and barbed wire and flames and whatever wreckage, we're going to see that with Kenny Omega and John Moxley for the AEW World Championship, and the tag team street fight with the Icon Sting and the Turner Network Television champion Darby Allin. They will face Team Taz's Absolute Ricky Starks and the FTW Heavyweight Champion, the Machine, Brian Cage. And that's coming up March 7th, Sunday night for AEW Revolution. So, yeah, this upcoming Wednesday, obviously, AEW Dynamite, they're going to be loaded with matches. NXT so far only has 2 matches on the card. And now we're going to talk about Elimination Chamber. Now, we're going to begin with Monday Night Raw. It's already the last Raw before Elimination Chamber. How they opened up was Miz TV, and Miz had his guest in the WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre. And, of course, Drew McIntyre, you know that he's got to be in the zone. The pressure's got to be kicking in for him because he's got to deal with 5 other guys in that chamber for the side of Monday Night Raw. And obviously, Miz wasn't the indicated recipient of what he had to deal with at the hands of the WWE Champion.
Drew McIntyre, welcome to the show. Can I call you Andy? First things first, I must apologize for John Morrison's absence. He is with a huge producer making a Bad Bunny diss track. But back to business, Andy. This Sunday marks the toughest match in your career. Sure, you have beaten the likes of Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton. But this Sunday, inside an Elimination Chamber, you will face 5 former WWE champions, myself included. At the same time, has it dawned on you that, statistically speaking, your road to the main event of WrestleMania could end there? Because if it was me, I would be panicking. I mean, I don't know how you remain so focused. I mean, 2 weeks ago, Sheamus, the best friend you can count on to watch your back, decided to stab you in the back. But he wasn't really ever your best friend now, was he, Andy? No, he was waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. He wanted you to let your guard down, you let him in, and at the perfect opportune time, bam! Bro kick right in the face. But why, Sheamus? Why? That is the mystery. A mystery that was solved when Sheamus challenged you for the WWE Championship. The stage was set. Drew McIntyre defends his WWE Championship against his longtime personal friend Sheamus at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. But WWE management had different plans, didn't they? I would be so upset. I would be furious, angry. I'd want to rip someone's head off. Not only did they rob you of the personal satisfaction of proving Sheamus was wrong for turning his back on you, but also you have to face 5 top caliber superstars who are chomping at the bit to take what is rightfully yours and the only realistic chance you have. Just shut the hell up! I meant no disrespect, sir. Look, I was just simply saying that if you win tonight's gauntlet, I'm warning you. I'm gonna speak. If you interrupt me one time, I swear you're gonna regret it. No, I am sick and tired. Oh, I understand that you are sick and tired. I'm sick and tired too. McIntyre Ward Miz. And launching the Money in the Bank place. I'm removing myself from the Elimination Chamber match. This is brilliant. This is brilliant. I mean, the Miz, he's just a driver's seat. He has the Money in the Bank contract. He doesn't need the Elimination Chamber. And he needs to be fresh. I mean, think about it. Think about who's going to be at the Elimination Chamber. Okay, we have the WWE Champion. We have Roman Reigns. He's in the building. Everybody's a target. This is a brilliant strategy by the Miz.
My opinion, I think the Miz really made a dumb move. Here I thought that he was going to be the ace in the hole for the Elimination Chamber in general. Because not only he's the Money in the Bank winner, he can cash in that contract. on any championship he pleases. But now taking himself out, I guess looking at it from the other angle, now he can spread out and see which grass is going to be greener on the other side when it comes to those championships. You don't have to be physically grueling in the chamber match itself if he fails, and he can have some energy left and maybe go for the SmackDown title. That's looking one way of it. But before we actually jump that gun a little further, I was as mentioned, pretty much I'm not gonna go to every single match that Drew had to face in the gauntlet match, but obviously he had to go through the other guys, well, to the guys that were available at that point since Miz took himself out of the equation. He faced the phenomenal AJ Styles. He faced the Enigma Jeff Hardy. And that was it. So with Miz now removing himself out of the picture, Kofi Kingston stepped up, was talking to Adam Pearce in the back, but then all of a sudden the Miz, before that, the Miz went to talk to Adam Pearce, and supposedly there was an understanding that instead of the Miz being in that match, that it should be his tag team partner, John Morrison. So then a little bit afterwards, that's when Kofi Kingston came to Adam Pearce and says that he wanted the spot. But then Miz came in and overheard a little bit of that conversation and says like, no way, that spot's for John Morrison. So then there's this argument right there. So Adam Pearce decided, okay, let's make a match. The Miz and Kofi Kingston. And if Kofi wins, he's going to end up being the Miz's replacement. But if the Miz wins, then John Morrison is in the chamber match on the Raw side. So obviously they had a one-on-one. But here is the biggest, and I'm going to say it in all my French words because at least for this part, hopefully I'm allowed. But if not, I will censor it. But then again, I'll censor it anyway. The biggest up that the WWE has done is show the leak. They have leaked who was going to be that guy to fill in the Miz's spot, and it ended up being Kofi Kingston. How in the hell did that happen? They did a promo about it before they even show the match of Kofi Kingston versus The Miz. WWE, you definitely up now. You definitely up now. Biggest up of them all. Okay? Bottom line. How in the hell are you going to put out a promo with Kofi Kingston in it when that should have been left at the end of that match? You just brought it out in the beginning. What the hell were you thinking? But like how we've been talking about it when we watched it that night. Yeah, it was a major screw up, but portion of that audience, or maybe a very good chunk of it, they won't even want to see the match. But then maybe just that small fracture or a small portion of the people, they would want to see how in the heck did it came about, how the heck did it ended up that way. So nonetheless, yes, biggest up ever. But also, and I'm surprised Wrestle Talk didn't talk about this. I'm surprised that Pro Wrestling Unlimited did not talk about this. But we caught it. We caught it because we actually seen it when normally we would be skipping commercials. And I'm surprised I didn't skip that one because, oh boy, that they leaked out that Kofi Kingston was going to be the one to fill in the spot. We got nothing against Kofi Kingston. No, I mean, come on. Kofi Kingston is just amazing. It's just that WWE did the biggest screw job by leaking it out firsthand before the match of Kofi Kingston versus The Miz. Come on, man. Is that going to be like that from now on? Or is that going to happen every now and then? You might as well just throw it all out for free. You know, they just screwed it up. They just screwed it up. But anyway, Kofi Kingston ended up beating The Miz in that match, and then of course the last match that Drew McIntyre had in the gauntlet, it was obviously Sheamus. So, speaking of the champion, we're going to go into this clip to see what is his strategy for this Sunday's Elimination Chamber. Because he has to face 5 former WWE champions. Anyone can be a fortunate man to take the gamble and take the champion out. But I guess it all depends, right?
Drew, I'm sure not how you want it to go out there. Sheamus defeated you in the gauntlet match to be the last superstar to come out of the Elimination Chamber. Now, how are you going to shake this off and retain the WWE title on Sunday?
Forgot about that.
I'd be lying if I said I had an exact plan. But I have to. It's as simple as that. I don't know how long I was in there tonight. It's good to remind not just the fans, myself, how far I'm willing to go to keep this championship. Certain champions might be trying to avoid every situation they have to put the work in, but I'll always put the work in. Sheamus took advantage of the situation. He took out his best friend. He's willing to do whatever it takes, and he got the job done tonight. Not many people have pinned Drew McIntyre. In fact, one person has pinned Drew McIntyre in over a year, and he's just became the second. He's coming in the Elimination Chamber last. I have to be ready. I said last week I feel like a caged animal. My back's against the wall. What do you think's going to happen? You'll literally put me inside a cage this Sunday with this title on the line. Think about it.
Now, obviously, that was the part that I forgot about. That in that gauntlet match, whoever, I guess, defeats Drew McIntyre becomes the last person to walk out of the chamber with an advantage, and obviously that was Sheamus. So as you heard, Drew McIntyre, he was spent in that match having to go through all 4 guys, with the exception of Kofi Kingston, because he just barely got added into the match, defeating The Miz. Now the champion, he's going to have to come up with a different game plan, knowing that Sheamus, obviously, his 20-year friendship with the Scotsman, that's over with. That's nothing. Even though in reality, of course, they're always going to be friends. But in the storyline, their friendship is no more, no mas, finito, kaput. And when it comes to business, that championship means everything to that Celtic warrior Sheamus. It's going to be do or die. Drew McIntyre has to come up with a heck of a strategy to retain his championship. We heard him that he'll put in the work. He's always been putting in the work. That's what makes him one of the very best WWE champions of all time. Speaking in the moment right now, what do you think, Jade, that Drew is going to have to come up with in order to survive the chamber and retain his championship?
He's gonna have to train like as much as he can, because he's not gonna be in there with just one opponent. He's gonna be there with 5 different opponents in that Elimination Chamber match, and that chamber match can be exhausting. And like you mentioned, he's gonna be like in a cage, like in a caged animal, because it's not just Sheamus that's gunning for the WWE title. We also got the phenomenal AJ Styles. We got the Viper Randy Orton. We got Kofi Kingston. We got the charismatic enigma Jeff Hardy. I mean, anybody that wants to reclaim championship gold. And pretty much for Drew McIntyre, this has been almost a year since he won the world title, or the WWE title, for the very first time, and knowing full well that he has to outlast these 5 different contenders in the Elimination Chamber. It's going to take him some doing, but we'll see what can happen. The possibilities of Drew walking out of the Elimination Chamber still the WWE champion, I'm going to say, is 3-1 because of and I'm not counting Randy Orton. I'm not counting. I'm not gonna count Randy Orton. Oh, no, I'm
From
gonna
the
count
Raw side?
Yes, I'm not counting Randy Orton. I'm not counting Sheamus.
Yeah,
but
Randy
yes,
Orton,
potential
AJ Styles.
Yes, the phenomenal AJ Styles. I pretty much see
The Miz.
Yeah.
Well, no, the Miz is out.
The Miz
Kofi
is out.
Kingston.
Kofi Kingston, Jeff Hardy. Any one of those three could possibly defeat Drew for the WWE title. But nonetheless, if Drew wants to survive the chamber match tomorrow against these 5 different opponents, he pretty much has to train as much as he can and give it all his heart tomorrow night.
And while we're still on the subject of the Elimination Chambers, now we're going to jump to SmackDown. What happened the previous night? Of course, the show started out. Normally, it would be Roman Reigns starting out the show as always, but this time it was Edge that started out the show, talking about the 13 possibilities of, and he's speaking from both realms, Raw and SmackDown. The 13 possibilities of who could walk out with the championships during that entire night. So having to state, who Edge would have to analyze and watch very closely in order for him to have a very good idea of who his opponent's going to be, even though we already know who was it going to lean to, but still to play it out that way and play it, as it should, to state who is going to be who is going to be the opponent and who he's going to face for championship-wise at WrestleMania. Of course, that led Roman Reigns to come out and to tell him he don't need to worry about those other 13 contenders, that he can do it with the Universal Champion and Tribal Chief, the head of that table, Roman Reigns.
I got a lot of decisions to make this Sunday. See, on one hand, we have Drew McIntyre, the WWE Champion, defending his championship inside the Elimination Chamber. We have Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion, defending his championship at Elimination Chamber. Now, I'm not one to judge. I'm called the ultimate opportunist, but to me, Roman's making the smart play here. See, Drew, he can lose his championship in an instant, whereas Roman is going to defend his championship against a man who had to survive a chamber match. 2 matches, 13 possible opponents. So I'm going to quit flapping my gums and start evaluating what I'm going to do this Sunday and choosing my main event opponent at WrestleMania, because this is the biggest decision of my career. You don't have 13 to choose from because there's only one. And the one is a 4-time, could have been a 5-time, about to be a 6-time WrestleMania main event. Here's the thing. You want me to acknowledge you as the main event of WrestleMania, but I just can't do that. See, a couple of weeks ago, I saw you do something you've never done before. You lost your cool. See, you're slow in the uptake, but it confirmed what I already realized. You realize that you need me to be the main event of WrestleMania. So what you need to ask yourself is, do you want me to expose the dents in your armor? Do you really want me to focus on you? Now check your ego and actually think about that long and hard. Let me explain something to both of you, all right? WWE management didn't want me in the Elimination Chamber match, but I plowed my way in, and that should worry both of you. Edge, once upon a time, you were the ultimate opportunist, but you are looking at the master strategist, and that should worry you. I want you to get my moment. I want you to get my... Actually, I don't even trust you. Get my guys over here. Come over here. Get the shot. Get this iconic shot, this image of Sami Zayn pointing at the WrestleMania sign, pointing at my destiny, because make no mistake about it, fellas, Sami Zayn is going to WrestleMania. Oh! Hey, who's so hurting? No.
And then, of course, to close the shot, Roman Reigns was whispering something into Edge's ear. We couldn't make out what the heck he told him, but I guess it had to be some verbal warning of what could happen to Edge if he didn't choose Roman Reigns, where it could be them two going for the Universal title at WrestleMania. Nonetheless, I love that angle, how Edge pretty much he's in decision mode still, but also he could be boxed into a position where he can expose the tribal chief for who he is, because his biggest letdown was he exploded. He lost his cool. He lost his temper. And that normally doesn't happen with a guy like Roman Reigns, because he does what he wants, but he does it in a very calm fashion. Then all of a sudden he just bursted out of nowhere and like, dude, what the heck are you doing? So everybody witnessed that. Edge witnessed that, and of course he told him that is something that you didn't want to do. There's already cracks on you. You want me to go full bore on you? You'll be broken. Bottom line, and you'll be the head of the table no more. Simply that. And of course, with that angle, that led to a 6-man tag at the end of the show. Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, and Cesaro, they teamed up to go against Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and Baron Corbin. Even though Jey Uso had enough of Sami Zayn's mouth and he super kicked him for the heck of it. But when it comes down to Elimination Chamber, obviously what's different for the SmackDown side is all those 6 guys are going to be in that chamber. The one who makes it out alive will get a shot at the Universal title and Roman Reigns the same night. But obviously that's going to happen later after that match gets done with. So that's the thing about that match, is that Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan, and Cesaro are going to be in that match. They're going to have to duke it out really hard, because there's only going to be one man thirsty enough to want it so bad and can take it to Roman Reigns later on that night. Also, another match that is going to take place is the triple threat. And we don't even know if it is going to be a triple threat, because lately, with what's going on Raw, we haven't seen Keith Lee. He's been on and off of the show. And the last thing that we're hearing, and this is inside news, obviously what's going on with Vince McMahon lately is that he don't even feel these characters anymore. We're talking about Keith Lee. We're talking about Aleister Black. We're talking about Andrade. And we're talking about so many others that supposedly have been getting shots. And also Cedric Alexander, for the heck of it. These are guys that obviously they were getting high expectations from Vince McMahon. And then all of a sudden, out like a light. That is it. We don't see them get the push. We see them get pushed to the side, or we see them, or we don't see them, but they're back in catering, not even on the card. That's another thing that WWE is doing. Oh, but no, it's actually Vince McMahon that is doing it, because his job is not to be feeling these guys. It's supposed to be the audience feeling these guys. Vince McMahon is not the audience. He thinks he knows what the audience wants, but Jesus, Vince McMahon, you're already losing your touch. You're getting old. And on top of that, your health is not looking very good. I'm telling you, you just pass on your business to Triple H and or Stephanie or Shane or all three of them. Get out of it already. You don't have it anymore. Or obviously WWE's going to die and you're going to lose the last bit of fandom that you got. You're even lucky that you made $1 billion just for what? To have employees be bitching about it? Now they're leaving with stock options? That's another bit of latest inside news. Come on, man. It's just it's a crime. It's pathetic. I mean, I think the world of Keith Lee. He's once in a lifetime. He's not like any other athletes that we've seen before in previous eras. He's got something right now, and you're actually killing off his character, for Christ's sakes. Or even freaking creative. What the heck are they going to have for him coming back? So now we don't even know if this triple threat match is even going to take place. Is it? And even if it is, chances are we're not even going to see Keith Lee becoming the new United States champion. I'm sorry. And the one who's going to keep it is muscle head Bobby Lashley, because he's getting the push, because he's getting the rub, whatever the heck. And nothing against Bobby Lashley. I'm saying it because I speak it out as a fan, but also I have an issue with Jesus, man. You're just giving these guys a high for 3-4 weeks, and then that's it. That's it. It's over. There's nothing left for them. Like, really? Jeez, I can't imagine what Nia Jax's hole is going to be looking like now. She's only a 1 week and a half type of, hashtag trend. That's going to be done with. There's going to be nothing new with her. Her talk is pretty much done with. It's already dying down ever since this past Friday on SmackDown. That's going to be done with. 2 weeks already? That's over with. Because everything obviously is playing really quick. So what the heck? I just got to get it out there because, we said we were talking about stuff, inside news. We already talked about Kyle O'Reilly, and supposedly all of that injury is a work, and even he's acknowledging it on Twitter. What's going on with these guys getting, opportunities, and all of a sudden that's dying down, and, all that. So it's like, what the heck? So we just got to get it out there. Another match that's going to take place is they just announced it. The women's tag team match is going to be on the line. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler is going to defend their belts against the team of Bianca Belair and the boss, SmackDown Women's Champion, Sasha Banks. Are there any other matches?
So supposedly the Raw Women's title is on the line. Supposedly.
Oh, yeah. And that's another thing. Supposedly the pregnancy of one Lacey Evans, it's not a shoot. It's actually real. And was it unleashed at a proper time? It's kind of like a give and take. I mean, on one part, congratulations, Lacey Evans, that you're pregnant, because we know that it is real, and that's not, a storyline or whatever, because we finally know for sure that it's a real thing. But also I think it is going to take place because from what I understood is that Lacey Evans can do maybe 1 or 2 more shows before she can actually take time off and focus on the pregnancy. So I say, to honor that commitment and honor the shot, but we know what's going to happen. I think that match is going to be very limited and maybe a really short, but Asuka's going to keep the belt. If they do this match tomorrow night, Asuka's going to keep the belt. Lacey Evans, there goes your shot. Here I thought maybe Lacey Evans was going to get it, but obviously with this whole unexpected pregnancy shoot, obviously that's not going to happen. But I think for sure that match is still going to be on the card. Another match that can take place at the Elimination Chamber. That would actually be pretty much for the card. I can't think of anything else. So those would be pretty much the matches. So I say prediction wise, Drew McIntyre is going to keep it against all odds. Roman Reigns is obviously still going to keep it because we already know, what the outcome is going to be at WrestleMania. Obviously, all of the champions that are going to have a match, they're going to keep their titles. There ain't going to be no switches. Who is going to win the SmackDown Elimination Chamber? It could either be, I say, Daniel Bryan, or maybe Cesaro. Maybe one of those two guys. Because Cesaro's been on a momentum shift. He's been doing pretty good. Daniel Bryan can bounce back into this one. And maybe, if lucky enough, but I'm going to leave him for last, Kevin Owens. Because obviously he's still not done with the head of the table in the Tribal Chief and Universal Champion Roman Reigns.
I'm going to agree with you on certain aspects. And yeah, like you, I'm gonna get my number one pick would be Daniel Bryan. But also I'm going to say the dark horse could be Kevin Owens. But and I got nothing to get Cesaro. I mean, Cesaro is a great wrestler, but I don't see him as a potential candidate in winning this Elimination Chamber contendership match against Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. So I say my picks could be either Cesaro, Daniel Bryan, and if possible, more. So I'm saying I like Rey Mysterio.
All right. Rey Mysterio's in the match? I thought it was done for.
Oh no, wait.
No, he's not in the match.
Oh, he's on the match. Okay. My mistake.
Yeah, it's Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan, and Cesaro.
So I'm going to stick with those two, yes.
Those six are going to fight because one of them will be lucky to make it to Roman Reigns on that same night to get a shot at the Universal Championship.
All right, so I'm going to stick with Cesaro and Daniel Bryan.
So I say all the champions are going to still keep the championships. Either Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, or even Kevin Owens. One of those three will be my pick to go and make it out of that chamber to get to Roman Reigns. And yeah, Drew McIntyre, like I said, he's going to keep his championship at above all costs. He's going to make it through the Elimination Chamber for sure. And I know we're really running out of time. We're almost going to get the death click here. But we want to say thank you very much to everybody that has joined us tonight just to get all the information, the rundown of what's going to happen this upcoming Wednesday. And, of course, March 3rd is almost around that corner. Tomorrow night will definitely be the Elimination Chamber. We got Revolution coming up. And also this Thursday, Road to New Beginning, Jon Moxley will defend his IWGP United States Championship against Bullet Club member Kenta. That's going to be one heck of a match. We're definitely going to resubscribe to NewJapanWorld.com to watch that match. That one's going to be kick-ass for sure. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this episode of Wrestling Weekend Recap. Already at 2,560 subscribers. My goodness, you guys are awesome. Thank you very much for those subscriptions. Really keep on liking, commenting, and just, giving more views on those classic wrestling videos, man. You guys rock. You guys are awesome. We appreciate it. Thank you very much for supporting the Ace Armageddon brand. And, of course, this show that you're watching, the Wrestling Weekend Recap. For the one and only Jade, I am Ace X. Thank you very much for joining us. Stay safe. Mask up. Peace and love worldwide. Have a good night, everyone.